right, good. And thank you very much, and welcome to the video conferencing, remote conference, whatever you call it, April 7, 2020 meeting of the Orangetown Plan and Zoning Commission. Let me point out who's in attendance here. We have Commissioners Paul Kaplan, Kevin Cornell, Tom Tarenti, Judy Smith, and myself, Ozzie Parenti. Zoning Enforcement Officer Jack Demirjian, Tammy Trantalis, Assistant. And then I see Alan Ham, and I'm not sure, Alan, who?
I'm the architect for Mission Barbecue.
Okay, and Dirk Goss?
Yes, I'm with Waldo and Associates, and we're the engineers and surveyors for
All right.
the project.
I thought what we might do, I thought we'd begin by rearranging the agenda a little bit so that we can hear the applicant's site plan application and then revert back to the rest of our agenda.
Excuse me. You get a motion?
Just a second.
Where did he go? I scared him away.
Who seconded?
All right. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I'd like to make item number 5 on the agenda, item number 1, and then renumber 1, 2, 3, 4 as 2, 3, 4, and 5. Somebody make a motion on that?
Yep.
All right, we have a motion from Paul Kaplan,
Second.
seconded by Judy Smith. All those.
Where did Judy go?
I'm sorry?
Judy there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Oh, I see. We don't have I don't have my little squares up, but okay, that's fine.
All right.
Oh, there you are.
So we have a motion to change the order of the agenda. It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right. This is just in the interest of allowing the applicant not to have to sit through the rest of our meeting.
Torture.
So, item number 1 on our agenda is site plan application submitted by Nick and Niels, care of Nick Rigione, property known as 550 Boston Post Road. The property owner proposes to reconfigure parking spaces and redesign front access aisle area in front of the existing structure. An architectural standards supplement has also been submitted. This is to locate Mission Barbecue with facade changes in an existing structure, previous restaurant use. We all know this as the Bertucci's restaurant. So is the applicant prepared to take us through their application? And then we can, I'm sure the commissioners will have some questions for you.
Okay.
This is Mark Young, licensed surveyor. He'll speak to that topic.
All right, good.
Okay. As Derek mentioned, my name is Mark Young. I'm a land surveyor with Waldo & Associates. We're representing Nick Rigione in this application. At the risk of being redundant, let's see, the site is at 550 Boston Post Road. It's the intersection of Peck Lane and Boston Post Road. Again, as mentioned, the building was formerly occupied by Bertucci's, and they closed a couple of years ago. For a little background, Waldo & Associates prepared the site plan for the entire shopping center surrounding the site we're working on today. That was back in, I think, 1980. Recently, a few years ago, Mr. Rigione asked us to prepare a property survey of his property on that corner. The whole complex is actually in 2 parcels. The larger shopping center parcel is occupied by Trader Joe's and a number of other stores. It's owned by the Erstad Biddle Properties. The site under consideration in this application is owned by Nick and Niels Incorporated, and Nick Rigione is the principal. The property lines, they're the result of some historic property transactions, but the parking lot is continuous, and the two owners have a reciprocal parking agreement.
In writing, on the land records?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, now, our involvement with this site plan is primarily to specify details of the revised parking and ensure that it meets the state building code with respect to accessibility. Architect Alan Ham designed the renovations to the building and the general layout, and he'll speak in a few minutes. Now, the building will remain the same size. It's 6,774 square feet. So the parking spaces required at 100 square feet per space will be 68. There are about, I think, 167 spaces delineated by the access aisles. So we have well over the spaces parking required for the use. We've specified 3 handicap spaces, which is based on the parking requirement for the building. So 68 parking spaces require 3 handicap spaces.
One van space.
Right, and one of these handicap spaces is van space. And so this is what we show on the site. We surveyed some elevations on the existing pavement and parking and sidewalks on the site so that we could specify the elevations for the ramps from the parking lot onto the front walk of the building. There are 4 ramps. 2 of them actually rise more than 8 inches, so they require a railing on each side, according to the building code. We've shown this on the site plan with the detail of the ramp and the railing. We've specified the required grade, and we've put in specific elevations for the top and the bottom of the ramps so that they are all conforming. We've also shown, at the request of the prospective tenants, 3 spaces designated as veterans parking. This is a policy of Mission Barbecue, and we're respecting that. Now, that's mostly what we were involved with. Mr. Ham, I believe, has some comments on the renovations to the building.
Just one thing before we move on. What's your first name? I'm sorry.
Mark,
Mark, on the 167 spaces, are any of them shared? Or are
they
they
are
all?
shared with the rest of the complex, which is Trader Joe's and all those other stores.
All right, that's what I was asking. Thank you.
Were there any questions about the site plan before I start going through the building, or?
We'll circle back to those.
Okay,
Finish your presentation, please.
okay. I'm Alan Ham, with principal of Alan Ham Architects. I'm the primary architect for Barbecue, who is a barbecue chain from basically Michigan, Wisconsin down to Florida. They currently have roughly 90 plus locations open since September 11th, 2011. They actually opened their first location 10 years to the day after 9/11. I don't know how much you all know about Mission Barbecue, but they're extremely patriotic, give back to first responders. It's a privilege for me at this point in my career to work for a company that is that grounded and has such a mission and a purpose. They are a great neighbor, a great tenant. You guys will love having them in your community. So basically, we are taking the former Bertucci's building, which was a fairly basic rectangular box, and trying to give a little more and update it. And we did send out a package that I'm sure you all have seen, where we raise the corner, what we could refer to as a corner tower. Our model basically starts with an entry at the corner of the building, and inside there's a queue line that goes down. For those of you who are familiar with like a Chipotle, where you actually place your order and go down a counter and pick it up, it's a similar concept. It's not a full service restaurant, it's a quick service restaurant, but there are interior seats and attentive staff to service your needs when you're inside. Basically, we are taking the entire exterior of the building and putting new finishes on it and trying to update it. We're only taking slightly more, I think, than 50% of the building on that outside corner. And I guess there's a future tenant that maybe Nick can talk about if there's anything scheduled at this point for the balance of the building. So we haven't really done anything on the rest of it. He's got another architect that's been doing some studies on that for him. But basically, we submitted the application and, to the best of our ability, tried to follow along with the guidelines and the architectural standards, and we think we've been fairly successful in doing that. As you mentioned, there is some dedicated parking spaces for veterans. There are handicap spaces, of course, we need per code. There's also, they do a fair amount of to-go business. So there's a couple of spaces that are dedicated for cars that are going to be there for a very short period of time, that's close to a side door that sort of allows you to cut in line if you pre-place an order, so you can pick up your food and leave, which in this environment is a really important feature.
But the food service is meant to be predominantly in restaurant.
That is correct. That is correct. The to-go, probably, it depends on the location. I mean, there's some that are more suited for it than others, but it's usually, I believe, in the 10 to 15% are pickup orders.
10 to 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that does vary, but that seems to be about the average. Not sure what else, if anybody has any questions or comments on the package that we submitted, happy to address them. We, as part of their patriotism, we do on all locations have a flagpole where they display the American flag. That's typically 55 feet tall. It's a substantial flag, but it just shows how proud they are to serve the first responders and their patriotism.
Now you're on these views. You show the outdoor seating.
Correct. We understand that we're going to have to come back for a separate application for the outdoor seating.
Okay, I wanted to just make sure that was clear. It's not. I don't see it. All I see is the concrete, patio or whatever on the site plan, but it doesn't appear that you've indicated that to be outdoor dining.
Correct. The plan is to come back in and apply. Once the site plan has been approved, we felt like we couldn't come in and try to get patio approval until the site plan had been 100% approved. So we shortly intend to make application for the patio approval. We understand that's a public hearing, and that
Right.
we have.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were all clear on that.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Kevin?
Judy here. Can you describe some of the building materials and maybe the color scheme that you're prepared to do?
So it's primarily, the base is a synthetic stone that's got grays and brown tones to it. We did provide photos of a sample board that shows sort of those individual materials.
Do you happen to have that sample board that you could hold up for us?
I I think I have a picture of it. I don't know that I have the actual, I do have the individual pieces, but not.
I'm sure a rendering or colorized version would be fine for people.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have that. We have
do?
that. Are you plan to, go with that color?
We have
Yeah,
that?
the colors that are on the
Well, it was in our package from the last meeting.
Ah,
was that, I mean, those are, it's on the 8.5 by 11s.
Yeah,
Got it.
Got it?
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, everybody's holding it up.
So your intention is that the building look like that?
Correct.
In terms of the color, the configuration, the materials?
That is correct. So it's basically got a stone base. It's got synthetic stucco or ephes in parts. The top part of the tower is basically, it's got a horizontal siding that's basically charcoal gray. And then there's corrugated metal that's vertical as a sign backing all the way around. And then we have corrugated metal for the awnings that wrap the building.
Tell me, how is the building, how is how is the building divided between the Mission Barbecue half and the future tenant half?
If you,
Is it divided by a line perpendicular to the post road?
the main road, it's the right-hand side is the future tenant, the left-hand side is the Mission Barbecue.
Okay,
Literally almost right down the middle, front to back.
so there'd be no change in the signage then? On the view from Peck Lane, that would stay the way it is. It wouldn't be changed for a new tenant.
Well, they're obviously going to have to do their own branding and signage on the other corner, correct?
It'll be on the other side though.
Correct.
I mean, what you're showing wouldn't change
That is correct.
when there's a new tenant,
That is correct.
an additional tenant.
That is correct. Now, we understand that there's completely separate processes for signage permits and approvals and things like that. There's a separate company that handles all of that. So these sizes are sort of representative. They're not thought to be exact. That's kind of a different department. But so I don't think they'll get bigger, but they, depending on how much we can get allocated, it may in fact have to go down in size a little bit.
Mhm.
But that's a whole separate process that will happen shortly.
Okay.
To Jack and the other commission members, would the flagpole be subject to the height limitation for the zone of 40 feet as a structure?
that's a good question.
Well, you might want to let the applicant know so they don't show up with a 50-foot flagpole if 40 is allowed.
Yep. Okay. Will do.
That question didn't occur to me.
unless we parse out the word structure, I assume that any structure has to be less than the max unless there's an exemption.
Yeah, I don't believe there is an exemption. I was looking at the height restrictions in the zone the other day, but just because I haven't, officially dealt with one exactly like this before, I could give it a second look and update them tomorrow, I'm sure.
What is the height of the flagpole? Do you know?
55.
Oh, it's 55?
Yeah.
It's intended to be 55 feet.
Where is that? Is that on the plan anywhere?
Yes.
I didn't see that.
You have the
There's a site plan, the SP1,
SP1.
flagpole is right here.
All right, I take your word for it. I mean, I can't lay my hands on it right now, but
Yeah, the flagpole is on the site plan.
It's on site.
No, I know the flagpole is, but does it show the height of the flagpole?
No, it does not.
All right, who said it was 55 feet? Who knows that?
The applicant had indicated it was.
I do as the architect. That's their standard.
Okay. All right.
A couple of site plan questions. Mark,
Yes.
so we, as a board, have been working with this, the remainder of this shopping center on some other applications. And as you pointed out, it was built in the 80s.
Yes.
Right, and as such, you know, it is in need of some TLC, and I wasn't around in 1980 to understand why there was some sort of drive aisle past the pot de cochere for Tucci's, which you are showing on your plan as a concrete area for a future outdoor dining.
Right.
But my questions go to, there's very awkward turning movements to service this building. And while I'm not particularly concerned with how hard the delivery trucks have to work, you know, without any information on here to see that, you know, the fire truck can maneuver around after you take that drive aisle away from the front of the building.
Yeah.
You know, Paul, do we have a sign off from the fire department?
Yes, we do.
May I address that up? I'm Nick Region. I had the good fortune to meet Tim the Friday before he died, Tim Smith, the Friday before he died, and he approved it. And then on the following Sunday, he passed away. As you know, it was a tragedy, but Mr. Dumas, the Chief Dumas and Tim Smith and Jamie signed off on it, and Tim had signed off on it previous to that. And then Jamie finished signing the application. We went there a couple of weeks ago and he signed it. But they said that that was not a problem.
Right. You know, Jack, for future, you know, applications, because this is more of a process issue of mine rather than a particular application.
Jamie signed off on it, and Tim had signed off on it previous.
I'm sorry.
Interference here.
Yeah.
Finished signing the application. We went there a couple of weeks.
Chris, can you guys mute the video lab, please?
You know, Jack, for future, you know, applications, because this is more of a process.
Excuse me, video lab. Can we mute that?
Yeah, we're gonna mute that right now for you. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay.
You asked that question again, Kevin?
Yes. So, Jack, when we're doing site plan reviews, we're all motivated, you know, to keep places occupied and, you know, but we're also motivated to keep them safe. You know, as a general rule, I'd like to see some of the, you know, if not truck turning movements on existing plans for centers like this, at least the fire truck routing that the fire marshal, you know, has looked at it and knows he can service these things when we're making, you know, access changes like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to believe that, you know, Tim and his department looked at this and it's fine and move on. But, you know, memo to you, I'd like to be given the information we need to really look at these things and know we're doing our job.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of want to see if we can depict the.
They put turning templates on here with standard fire trucks.
Okay.
You know,
All right, we'll see if we can include that in the future.
in the new center, they put in the turning movements for the delivery vehicles to loading docks and things.
But there's nothing there's no access route it's changing here, right? From the,
Yeah, there was a drive aisle in front of Bertucci's that they're now taking out. And that drive aisle used to go right into the entrance off of the Post Road.
Is that on the north side?
That would be the north side, yeah. You used to be able to drive past the front of Bertucci's. Now they're going to be putting a seating area there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
oh,
I'm not sure
And
that
that used to hook up to the drive aisle headed, to Trader Joe's.
And
they're
also,
not changing, wait a minute. They're not changing the footprint of the building at all here, right?
No.
They're changing the access around it.
The concrete patio specifically.
Yeah.
and also that 5-foot walk down the east side of the building
Right.
tightens up that lane
Oh, I see what you're saying.
considerably at the southeast corner.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be, what's our reg, 24 feet?
Yeah, that's like 18 feet there at the narrowest point.
And Mark, would you happen to know, sir?
I can, I'll get a scale and check. Now, this is at the northeast corner you're concerned about?
No, southeast.
Southeast, oh, there.
By the dumpster.
Yeah, I mean, that's an existing condition that
Yeah,
is less than optimal.
it's about 20 feet there.
You're showing a new concrete walk.
That's existing.
It's already there. There's already a walk there.
The existing walk is at the rear of the building. We start widening it about halfway up the building.
Right.
Because actually the code requires that we have a wider walk to be able to allow a door to be on that side, which is where our two go.
Okay, so the narrower section of walk is existing?
That's correct. At the back corner where it would not be in compliance with current standards,
Right.
that's existing and not being touched.
Given the amount of reserved parking, would it make any sense to eliminate a few spaces there? That's awfully tight through there.
Well, it is. I mean, assuming there are cars parked there, it seems like it'd be very difficult to get by.
Well, there's enough room for one lane.
It scales about 18 feet, Mark.
Well, right.
Tom, you're talking about 18 feet from the corner of the building to the,
No, from the corner of the sidewalk.
From the corner of the sidewalk to
Yeah.
the
oh, that's what I
space.
mean. The corner of the sidewalk at the
Southeast
southeast
corner.
corner of the building.
Right.
May I say something?
Again, it's been that way for forever. And as a matter of fact, I think that sidewalk is actually roughly at the same level of the parking lot. That is, there's not really a curb there. It kind of fades in. So, if the car wants to drive over a corner of the sidewalk, it's not a problem.
As long as there's nobody walking on it.
Right.
Well, it's not likely there's going to be too many patrons walking around to the back.
I operated the restaurant years ago when it was a restaurant, and Bertucci's was there 26 years. I've been there almost every day for the last 2 years. The place has been closed since March 15th, 2018. And I'm in there all the time working, and the Trader Joe's people, and I see the traffic flow every day. Essentially, the driveway in the front of the building, just to go back to that for a moment, was just used for an elderly person that might have been dropped off, or it was raining and they used that. There was a vestibule there, but that driveway was hardly ever used by Bertucci's or the previous, it was a Red Lobster originally, as you probably all know. But I'm there every day, and the traffic still flows around the building. People come around the building all the time to see what's going on, and they stop and they ask, what's going on here. But the sidewalk is in existence. It needs repair. It's going to be kept at the same size. but it's not an area that walks because it's actually the back of that turnaround is the back of the delivery area. That's where all the sewers and the septic tanks are, and everything else starts right at that corner and goes in. Certainly, those two spaces, there are many, many more spaces that they can go to if they didn't want to park there, if they felt uncomfortable, if the place, if they were marked differently. But it hasn't been a problem. I see cars, like, passing each other from Trader Joe's. They're coming, how successful Trader Joe's is. They come in that way and go out that way and so forth and so on. But, it just hasn't been a problem in the past. And the front was only used for drop off. And if people wanted to pick up somebody at the front. And now there's a lot more parking up at the front available, handicap and otherwise. But there's plenty of parking there. Just a question whether somebody wants to use it or not, But it's.
What's the width? Hey, Jack, what's the width of our fire trucks?
We were looking at a driveway at another development in town, and they were looking for the minimum of 18 feet wide, I believe.
So this just barely makes it. I think Tom had an idea of maybe eliminating some of those spaces in and around. You may want to float that to the fire marshal and see what Jamie has to say. I mean, it's tight over there.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know the answer. If the fire department were fighting a fire at the building, would they necessarily go into the parking lot? Could they fight a fire, or would it be optimal to fight the fire from Peck Lane or from the Post Road? I mean, maybe I'm just wondering if that's something we're missing. Maybe a fire truck doesn't need to get in and out of the parking lot.
I can only tell you that my experience talking to Tim and talking to Jamie, that they had no concerns. I talked to Jamie, through the funeral and after this, that they have no concern. They're not worried about it. Obviously, I don't think they would have signed off, or they would have made it some kind of a notation that they were concerned.
I mean, the entrance into the shopping center from Peck Lane, you could never drive a fire truck in there, could you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can. There's the driveways are wide enough.
I mean, that's a tight.
I don't know that you could make that right. I don't think you could turn right tight enough to parallel Peck Lane. I think is your point, to go through that 18-foot space. You'd have to go around the building.
Right.
Which they probably would do anyway.
Well, my point was that it's a difficult entrance to get in and out of with a regular car. I mean, with an automobile, let alone a fire truck. So I'm just wondering if the strategy for fighting a fire necessarily involves entering the lot. It's a little easier to get in from the Post Road.
Well, they have obviously.
Assuming Milford is fighting the fire.
Milford?
Because the truck would have to be coming from that direction to make a right turn there, right?
Well, the only thing I can think of is, because I'm in there every day, in and out of there every day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. The way it was, and I was there when it was originally, when the shopping center was built, the driveways are kind of on a Y, and certainly a fire truck has the priority of coming in and crossing the road before they have to go to the entrance. They can use the exit to get in. You know what I mean? If they were coming down the Post Road from the firehouse and there was a fire at Bertucci's and the Y goes out and it goes towards the firehouse, they certainly can enter.
Yeah, I'm only kidding. I'm sure that's the case. I just wonder, just from my own knowledge, I just wonder how they would approach fighting a fire at this property. I wonder if they wouldn't even bring the fire engines, bring the fire equipment into the lot.
Right.
As opposed to fighting it from Peck Lane or Post Road.
Well, I don't know if it's germane or not, but when the TGI Fridays had a fire, they were on Route 1, the fire apparatus.
They did.
On Route 1. Yeah, they didn't go in the lot.
They could have come from right across the street there.
They did.
They didn't even need to bring the trucks.
But, I think if the fire marshal, Tim and Jamie reviewed it, that's their domain and jurisdiction.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Second guess them. We were all concerned about health, safety, welfare.
No, I think you're definitely right. I can't imagine they signed off on something that doesn't make sense to them,
And so we're going to, because it's an existing building, we're going to accept existing non-conforming that there's no loading space, right? Do we have to do that affirmatively, or it's just an existing condition?
No loading space?
Yeah, the existing building has no loading space. And it would generally require one.
Does he mean
How are deliveries made to the building?
to the rear of the building?
So we took deliveries in the past.
To the rear of the building. They come in, all the deliveries come into the rear of the building. I don't say all of them. I mean, somebody might be carrying a small package in the front, but the deliveries come into the rear of the building, and the door is very close to, to Peck Lane. It's on that side of Peck Lane.
So there's no loading dock.
There's no loading dock because the building is level. They use hand truck for deliveries. The asphalt and the floor of the restaurant are very close in height, and they just come in with their hand trucks. And they use the back. The dumpsters come in the back there. They've been coming back there, for years. The Bertucci's was there 26 years, and they always came in the back and did the trash in the back and did their deliveries from the back.
So we're talking at most like box trucks. We're not talking about a tractor trailer trying to come through.
No, they didn't. They don't do that kind of. They don't do that. It's not a Costco's or something like that where they need tractor trailers. It's there's beer trucks and bread trucks and smaller trucks.
Would that transformer, would it make sense to require bollards to protect it from?
There are bollards there protecting it, but it's going to be removed and replaced.
The transformer is going to be removed?
Well, removed temporarily, and a new one is going to be put in place, a more updated one, and in the same location and with bollards. The one there has bollards now.
It does.
It does have bollards. It has 3 bollards, I think.
I mean, they're not shown on the plan, are they?
No.
I don't know. I looked at it, but
No.
I can't see it from where I'm sitting. But there are bollards on there.
They show on the architectural plan, which is the very last sheet in the sheet A 1.5. That shows all of the interior layout, seating, and in the back, I believe there's 2 bollards.
On the existing?
Yeah, that's existing. Now, I know they're going to be redoing it all, but it's all right here. There's 2 bollards right there.
So Ozzy, the buildings in excess of 5,000 square feet are supposed to have a loading space, but we can waive it by special permit. Can we waive that when they come in for the special permit for the
outdoor dining?
Outdoor dining, or do we have to even bother since it's existing non-conforming?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I'm getting a note here that I have to re-enter a password or something.
Still see your smile.
Go ahead. Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay.
Let me call my IT specialist. I'll be right back.
Sorry, what's going on, guys?
We're good. We're just waiting on Ozzy.
Oh, okay.
I have something that popped up indicating I need to put a password in.
Okay. We can see you still, so you're still here. It's still working.
Can you see Wendy?
Yes, we're good.
All right, good. I'm back. I'm fine.
All right, thank you guys.
What was that, Kevin? I'm sorry.
So my question is, if there's never been a loading space there, but our regulations require a loading space for 5,000 or square foot building or greater, we can waive it by special permit.
Well, why would the applicant agree to put in a loading space?
I don't think they have space to do that.
There's spaces that are not marked there that I'm not sure what you mean by putting a loading space. There are spaces there. If it wanted to be painted and say this is the loading space, we could do it because they're not marked out as parking spaces, but we can certainly, label it as a loading space.
I think that's what Kevin's asking for.
Yeah, we can do that, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not talking about tailboard. It's, it's just space on the ground. Like
Right. Yeah.
Right. But you want it marked in some fashion to.
Well, it would make sense to have it by the door where that activity is happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a good idea because I've been in the business years and I hate when you have to mark it and say, don't park here because it's also a fire exit.
So we're showing that there's a enclosure back here that has the dumpsters in it.
Yeah.
And there's actually a space right here that obviously trash only comes, for 20 minutes, once or twice a week maybe. But this area right here could certainly be striped. You wouldn't want a car to park there anyway, where a vehicle could come, load and unload. And I don't think we'd lose anything.
Okay. Does that satisfy your concern, Kevin?
Yeah.
And it could be oversized to cover the entire, in other words, typical parking space is, 20 feet, 18 feet long. This looks like it could be 27, 28 feet long.
You know what I didn't notice on the plan? I appreciate the way you did a zoning checklist on the plan demonstrating compliance with the zoning regulations, the setback requirements, the, floor area max, all those various requirements. But does the plan show those distances? Do they show a line from the building to the street indicating, so like on the only one that's closest is setback street 50 feet and you provide 52 feet. Where's there a line drawn that shows that to be in compliance? Tom, do you follow what I'm saying?
Our site plan, we did not put the dimension lines on there. We felt that if it's in the chart, that's what it is.
It is drawn to scale.
And it is drawn to scale. We actually did calculate those distances.
I mean, don't we usually see those marked on the plan itself?
Well, sometimes we do put them on, particularly if it's required for clarity. But again, this building has been here for 30 years and there's going to be no changes to the exterior. So to a certain extent, all those dimensions are moot.
Well, where would we, just for my own edification, where would we find that 52 feet?
Well, it's whatever the closest corner is.
It looks like it might be off the southeast corner.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, that's what I would guess, is the southeast corner, right?
On the Peck Lane side, yeah, it'll be the southeast corner.
Okay.
Usually if there's a zoning chart shown, I mean, sometimes you show some labels, but usually if there's a complete zoning chart, that's what's relied on.
Right.
For like variances and things like
Alan, you held up a picture of the future dumpster enclosure. What drawing was that on?
That's on our site plan sheet, which is SP-1. It's the third to the last 11, 17 page in our package.
Looking at
There's an overall site plan and a blow up of the building.
question. Is that dumpster enclosure sized for just Mission Barbecue, or is it also sized to handle the second half of the building later?
I think we sized it for Mission Barbecue.
All right. So when the owner comes in next time, he's going to put in another dumpster enclosure somewhere on the back side of that building.
Yeah, yes.
All right. That's accessible. Okay.
Or pick up the dumpster more frequently.
No, you just can't physically. It never works having two tenants, especially restaurants, in the same.
Yeah, especially food tenants. It's not.
They don't play well together.
Thank you.
Well, I guess that's an issue that we would cross that bridge when we came to it with the other tenant.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to let the owner know something we would be looking for.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
All right. What's your plan is to come in with the special use permit application for the outdoor dining?
Yes, we wanted to be sure that the site plan was approvable in its current state without the patio shown. And then we would make application probably in the next few weeks for the patio.
What's your client's time frame on the project?
Boy, that's a great question in this environment.
Yeah, that's true. It escaped my mind for a second there.
Yeah, well, lucky you. I wish
Just
it
a
is.
second though.
But I mean, we were imminently ready to go in for our full building permits once the site plan is approved. And then we would, simultaneously come in for the patio permit. So again, before a month ago, our hope would have been to be under construction in, 30 to 60 days. But
how long do you anticipate the construction for?
This is usually going to be like a 14 or 15 week project with the amount of exterior work that we're doing. Once we start.
All right.
The only thing that may slow us down or slow you down is that the outdoor dining requires a special use permit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that requires a public hearing. And I don't know how we can do a public hearing remotely. We have an item on our agenda tonight that we're not going to be able to get to or consider because it requires public hearing.
Right.
So it may be something for you to be mindful of. I don't know how.
I mean, I guess I'm not hearing that as a group you are against outdoor dining, so hopefully it's not a huge battle. And assuming that, again, we're being told to slow play some of these things a little bit. So, my wanting to file in 30 days may push to 60, depending on how things are shaking out here.
Yeah.
If it takes, let's just say 4 weeks to get our regular building permit before we could actually start construction, if we applied during that period and then we got, 3 to 4 months during construction, and we can always put the patio in at the end. So assuming that, we can apply, get on the calendar, have the hearing, we only need about 2 weeks to put the components of the patio in so we can actually occupy it. So we have started construction before knowing that we had to go through a process to get the patios approved.
Right. Okay. I just wanted you to be aware that I don't know, do we have a mechanism for conducting a public hearing at this point? Hopefully things will change soon. Get back to live meetings,
Right.
Jack, can you confirm that we have all of the sign-offs from the department heads?
Yes, we do. They are sitting right in front of me. We have all of them.
All right, we talked about the fire department, but the town sanitarian,
Sanitarian has signed off. We have the engineer. We have the sewer authority, the building inspector, and the police chief have all put their signature on this.
all right, and it's on the plan itself.
Yes, it is on the site plan.
All right. Do the commissioners have any other questions for the applicant? I didn't mean, is the applicant finished with your presentation, or?
I'd like to, make a statement a little bit. I'll talk to you for a second. I've been in the restaurant business for years. I had 4 restaurants at the Connecticut Post Mall, and I've had a dozen others in South Carolina and in Florida. I live in Milford. I grew up in West Haven, and I lived in Milford for over almost 50 years. Bertucci's has been out for 2 years. March 15th, they went out. We've already passed the 2nd year. Because I was in the restaurant business, I was very picky as to who was going in there. I'm too old to go in there and do something myself. I didn't want to do it. But I was very picky. The building's been up for lease, and I've had 25 Middle Eastern people wanting to build a restaurant there, 25 Spanish people, 25 Chinese people. And I'm not prejudiced, but none of them that I can recall were a chain of any substance where that I think that they would last long term. A lot of the proposals, a lot of the young people that were ethnic backgrounds, they were wanting to go in there, but I had seen, I have a place in North Myrtle Beach. I have a business there, and there's a Mission Barbecue in North Myrtle Beach, and it's in a shopping center that has at least 20 smaller fast casuals, quick takeout, like Five Guys and like Panera Bread, and they have at least 20 of them. And this place is spotlessly clean, and they spend way more money than a fast casual does. They're way different than Five Guys or Chipotle. Five Guys is red and white tile. Chipotle's has got this contemporary look. Their food is better. I'm not a meat eater. I'm not much of a meat eater. Their food is way better. Their attention to detail is fantastic in and outside the building. They have one in Southington, Connecticut. They are trying to place one in Shelton, Connecticut. I couldn't understand, because I was in the restaurant business my whole life, and it said Mission Barbecue. And I always thought of the Alamo. I couldn't get what the mission was. The mission is that they are very interested in supporting the first responders, doctors and nurses, and the police and the fire department, and the Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force. I wasn't in any services. So when I went in their building, one of the first things I want to do, I told Jamie, is I want to put something up with Tim Smith at the base of the flagpole, or the first thing inside. Their whole building inside is for Mission Barbecue. I'm not sure, I heard they say or something at noon every day in the restaurant, but the food is good. It's very successful in Southington. I picked them because it's a 30-year lease. It's a 10-year lease with 4 or 5-year options. And I felt that my children, they would be there longer than I'll be here. And I made a safe bet on. I'm very, very, I tore out about $1.5 million worth of stuff out of the building. There were many people that wanted to take it as it is, and I wouldn't let them do it, because I wanted to have that building have a fresh look. Jimmy Zioli certainly wanted to have a fresh look on the Post Road. But they're my pick, and very few people are coming up from the south, and they're coming up. They're doing well. They do well. So I picked them, and I feel like they do a great job there. We are fully aware of the coronavirus, COVID-19. We're fully aware of the delays. It's been a nightmare covering the expenses in the building and doing everything I'm doing in the building. But I want them to come in. I feel like they'd be a good addition to Orange and the general, this general area. I think they're a great chain. Alan Ham has been working with me all the time. He's a great guy. He's concerned. He works for a company that's not operating right now, and they have to get back operating. So any consideration you'd give them, I'd appreciate. You're giving them, you're helping them, you're helping me, you're helping the town of Orange, I think. I do have, I appreciate with this coronavirus all around the country and all around the world, I just want to thank, this meeting wouldn't have taken place if it weren't for, I want to list them and then I have nothing else to say, but, I went to Tim Smith, I went to Bob Heiser, Jack is brand new. Jack has helped me, Tim Smith has helped me, Bob Heiser has helped me, Jimmy Zioli, Karen Goldberg has helped me, Paul Denise has helped me, Tammy's helped me, Lucian, Tracy, and Ronald, the electrical inspectors helped me, Vinnie Marino, the town attorneys helped me get this far, Jamie, the fire marshal, and Vaughn Dumas have helped me, Police Chief Gagby has helped me, Brian and Lynn in the health department had helped me, Sylvie and Robert Britton have helped me, and of course, the planning and zoning, Ozzy saw fit to have the meeting. I don't know Ozzy, I've never met him. All I know is he's an attorney, and he's put this meeting together. I have a team that came out and helped me, and Alan has been a big help. So I think it's a great project. I think it's, not only do I think it's a great project, but given the situation on Main Street in America, it'd be great to see the street start off with, somebody coming in new and showing people that they can get back on the post road, open up, try their best on the post road for the retail community. But I just want to thank everybody for, having the meeting tonight, leaving their families or sitting in their house doing this. But I think they're great. And I didn't pick them because they were first. They were essentially one of the last people that came to me. And I just sat only because I knew the restaurant business. I sat and suffered to make sure I got somebody in there that could certainly make the first 10 years. And if they wanted to go another 20 years, they can go another 20 years. But I thank you for your time, and I appreciate any consideration you'll give this.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, do the commissioners have any other questions for the applicant?
Nope.
All right, Jack, any comment, anything from?
Nothing here, nope.
Okay. All right, then, thank you very much. We can spend a few minutes talking about the application, and then I don't see any reason why we can't put it to a vote tonight. Nothing's come up in the conversation that I think requires input from anybody not here tonight. I mean, again, we have the department head sign-offs. I don't think we need anything further from them in order to make a decision. Anybody have any comment on the application? Paul?
No, I mean, it looks pretty clean. It looks like they're going to renovate the building nicely. It certainly can use a refurbishing. It looks like they're doing that on the outside. It's I can understand them dragging their feet a little bit given the current situation, but it's going to take them 4 to 6 months to get this up and running. So at some point, life will have some normalcy. I think it's a nice addition.
Okay. Judy, Kevin, Tom?
I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it clearly meets our regulations. It's a permitted use in the zone. We have all the sign-offs. I find the architectural appealing.
Yeah.
Going to be an upgrade, and I think that we should be, very excited to get this type of project in our town.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. I think it's looking forward to it, especially since I live right up the street from it. So it's very convenient. It'll be very convenient for us.
I'd like to make one more comment before I go. I don't want to overstay my welcome. I've seen the 55-foot flagpole in Southington, and I saw the one in North Myrtle Beach. it's pretty impressive, and I hope that that it's possible for them to put up a 55-foot flagpole. It's very, very impressive, and it'll enhance this Boston Post Road, and it'll enhance Orange. It's a very, very nice addition to a restaurant.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that. I'd have to look at the regulations on that
I'll
question.
look into it tomorrow and see.
Jack, maybe we could talk tomorrow after you've had a chance to look at that.
Absolutely.
My guess is that it's not considered a structure.
Yeah, that could be unclear in the regulations. Maybe it's something that we could look at if there was anywhere at any other part of town, or if it does clearly state in the regulations. I think it should define what a structure is. So we'll see if we can do anything with it tomorrow.
Right, and I think that if it is a structure and it doesn't meet the height requirement, then either you put a smaller flagpole, a shorter flagpole, or maybe it's suitable for a variance. Huh?
Yeah, they could do that.
Well, why don't we look into that? I think we can, I think we can go ahead and approve the application, subject to some further input on that matter.
Okay. Thank you.
And Kevin's point about identifying the loading area, blocking, markings on the pavement to that needs to go on the plan. But Jack, you can handle that administratively.
Yep, I'll make sure it's put on the plan.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the applications, which, the site plan application, which includes the architectural supplement.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the site plan application submitted by Nick and Neils, Inc., care of Nick Region, for the property known as 550 Boston Post Road. The property owner proposes to reconfigure the parking spaces and redesign the front access and aisle areas of the existing structure, and also approving the architectural standard supplement that has been submitted.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, and I take it it's subject to clearing up this issue regarding the flagpole.
And also the notice on the plan of the loading area.
Okay.
Ozzy, I just looked in the regs, and the flagpole is not a structure.
All right, I didn't think it would be. Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about a building of some kind, a garage, a house, whatever. All right, well, that's good. Thank you, Tom. So we don't have to worry about that, Jack. All right, so we have a motion. Okay. We have a motion to approve the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Smith. Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
No.
Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Looks unanimous, Tammy.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. And good luck with the project.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much for your patience. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
We'll be in touch soon about the patio.
Absolutely.
All right. Very good. We'll look forward to it.
Right.
All right. Good. So you guys are going to sign out now, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
The rest of our meeting shouldn't take that long. Next item on our agenda is a review of the minutes from the March 3, 2020 meeting and the March 10, 2020 special meeting. Let's take the special meeting first. Just one page. It all looked fine to me, Tammy. I had no comment on it. Does anybody else have a comment on it?
No comment.
No.
None.
All right, well, maybe we can approve these with one motion. So we'll say nothing needs to change on that. On the on the March 3 meeting, Judy was out for that one, so it's just four of us. The only thing I noted was, Tammy, on the second page, right in the middle of the page, The paragraph begins, request for modification of special use. Well, two lines down from that, you have the Rich R there. Rich R, Richard Gustafson. I think just a typo. I think you maybe want
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. No problem.
But that was the only thing I observed. On the
Okay.
minutes. Anybody
On
else?
page, on the next page, Tammy,
Yes.
the end of that first long paragraph, just a period after completed.
Oh, okay.
Is that picayune enough for you?
That's good. That's good. All comments are good.
I noticed on the screen that we had Steve Inglis.
He was, he's
I know him.
Oh, okay.
Well, what is he? Is he?
He's a part investor with Mark. I think they kind of split the project, and he contacted me later today and asked if he could sit in.
Oh, all
So
right.
I told him he could. Yep.
Good.
I was about to raise that. I thought we had a security issue.
Yeah, no. I wanted to try to tell you guys in the middle of it, but he was being quiet anyway, so I figured I wouldn't throw off the flow.
I didn't say anything because I know him and I know he's a real estate developer. So I
Yeah,
figured
exactly.
some involvement in the project. All right, and nothing else on the minutes. Anybody else?
Nope.
All right, somebody prepared to approve both minutes? Actually, we should take them separately.
Definitely,
Judy
because-
wasn't there for the second one.
So
Let's take the March 3rd minutes first.
Move that we approve the minutes for the March 3rd, 2020 meeting as amended, I think.
Yeah, we have a couple little changes. We have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, on the March 10 special meeting. All right, so we have,
I'm abstaining from March
Yeah.
3rd. But we got
right, Judy abstains. On
Yes.
on March 10th, we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion, a second.
Second.
Judy, was that a second?
Yeah, it was actually.
All right. All right, good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, good. All right, next item on our agenda is old business. The only thing again, I just mentioned it, at our next meeting, the repeal of the TOD regulations is on our agenda, but obviously it requires a public hearing. I don't know if we're going to be able to accomplish.
Yeah, I haven't really heard much about any advancement on the public hearing possibility. I'm certainly not sure of a great way to do it. I'm not sure if Zoom is the best platform for that. I could talk it over with Josh this week, but I'm not exactly sure how that's going to securely be a possibility.
Right. I mean, we certainly, as a matter of law, need to open it up to the public.
Right. There's no dispute about that, but we're just not quite sure what the best way to do that is yet. So we'll keep looking into that, and hopefully we can kind of expedite that process as well.
Yeah. Best thing that could happen is this virus thing goes away by April 21st.
That's the best thing that could happen. Yeah.
Or April 20th, and we do it that way. All right. Does anybody else want to bring up anything under old business?
I don't know
Jack?
if it's old or new, but Paul Denise retired, and he was our CEO for 30 years, and it just seems terrible that we didn't get to say a proper goodbye, and we couldn't have it all together. So if we could be thinking of something down the road when the environment's a lot better and happier, that we properly acknowledge Paul's service to our town.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I agree completely. And I haven't even been able to respond to his email signing off the other day, which I plan to do,
Mm-hmm.
But it would be nice if we could get together with him one night and maybe Mission Barbecue or something and have a little going away party for Paul. That would be very good. We shouldn't wait that long, but we got to get that. Well, I mean, subject to the virus, but I mean, we got to get that done one of these days, hopefully soon. Anything else under old business? Jack, you have any update for us on the senior living
Yeah, they
Project.
obviously started the retention walls, which I'm sure you guys have seen. They put in the second access way onto the site. Other than that, they're still moving a lot of dirt, doing retention walls. I think the walkthroughs we haven't gone through on a walkthrough, I think, in a week or two, just because they're trying to avoid anybody else coming on site as well. And because a lot of the engineers are working from home. I will get in contact with Glenn and kind of see if I can figure anything out just to walk the site, me and him, so nobody else really has to be involved. But I know they're going strong over there, so.
Okay, Judy, by the way, that's 131 Indian River Road, right?
Oh, well, are you talking about 197 Indian River?
97.
Oh, what's
And 131 Boston Post Road is the old betting barn.
Oh, all right. Because Judy asked me about something over the weekend on
That was
Indian River.
134 Indian River Road. That was,
What-
that was
what was
in
the
the
act-
residential district and everything was fine.
Oh, okay. All right.
But now that we're talking of 131 Boston Post Road, the former betting barn, has all that remediation been completed?
I believe so. I know the engineer was going to take another trip down there and take a look at the wall. I'm not sure if he has done that yet or kind of what the plan is, but I know most, if not all, was done. Paul was doing the last couple inspections on that, and he had told me that he was pretty much there, not 100% yet, but pretty much, yeah.
He was removing backfill and it looked like he was doing some remedial work there.
Okay, that's right. You have a nice view.
Great view. I don't know what he's doing. He's moving that dirt back and forth every day. It's bizarre.
Sounds like fun anyway. All right. Anything else that anybody wants to bring up under old business? I could think of one other thing. Jack, I know Paul from time to time did a sweep on the post road of illegal signs.
That was actually one thing I wanted to bring up with all of you. I was hoping to do it kind of when we could all see face to face and really discuss it.
Yeah.
But before Paul left, I had asked him about signage because it's the one thing that we never really did, because he was telling me that we needed a more definitive answer of if we are strictly holding the sign regulations, are we strictly holding them up? He kind of made it sound like there was some discrepancies a while ago where they could have them up for a little while and then couldn't again. And he essentially told me that he just wasn't confident with the sign regulations and what he was to carry out and what he was not to carry out. So I wrote down that the first time we could all meet, and I was hoping just to do it in person, we could kind of definitively get an answer for what we want to enforce signage. Do we want to re-go over the regulations or anything, or do we just want to keep them as it is and enforce all sign regulations? But Paul, again, just never really went over it with me.
It's up to me.
Because he wasn't.
If it's up to me, it's the latter. You know.
Okay.
I mean, I think the regulations they're there and they ought to be enforced. I mean, there are a lot of
temporary signs. Yeah.
Don't comply. Clearly don't comply.
There are a lot of temporary flashy signs. Yeah.
Yeah, like these going out of business signs that are, that look like the election, the signage for the candidates, which is permitted. But those, rinky-dink, portable, easily removable signs shouldn't be there.
Okay, and that's going to be. I have to give them a copy of the sign regulations, and obviously, warning. Or if it gets to it, I'll drive up and down with a public works truck and throw them in the back. But that's
a good
fine with
idea.
me.
I mean, the thing is, you might, make several copies of the regulations and distribute.
And just deliver them right. That's what I was thinking as well.
Nicely remind people these are the regulations, and you have some signs out there that don't comply. They ought to be removed. So when I drive back through here 2 weeks from now, if it's still there, I know
Absolutely.
This is an ongoing battle for Paul.
Right. And that's, again, why he didn't really want to go over with me, because, again, he just wasn't really thinking that the commission or the sign regulations were acting in his favor if he really needed to back something up. But that's why I wanted to talk about it. Was
no, I think we ought to do it. Does anybody feel any differently about that? I mean, Judy?
Not at all. I agree with you.
Battle, you know, we want the merchants to do well, but we don't want the town to look unappealing. You
Right.
know, so it's been a battle for decades.
Right, and we got to work harder. I think we need to work harder on that. And
Okay, absolutely.
if the sign complies, that's fine. You know, but those you know, signs that don't comply, a lot of times, not only are they unsightly, but they obstruct views. You know, when you're coming out of a driveway onto the post road, it obstructs your view and it's dangerous.
Yep.
So I think we need to be careful about that and do as much as we can.
Okay.
Clean
It'd
those
be
things up.
helpful for Jack, since we're all up and down Route 1 all the time, that we jot down the ones that we believe are, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. If you see something, a running list for me would be awesome, you know, just so I don't have to go and do it myself. Yeah, that'd be great.
But I would start by, you know, educating the merchants.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Reminding them-
Paul had actually
reminding
talked
them
about
what
that.
the
Just
regulations are, you know.
printing out a bunch of copies, dropping them off, making them aware.
Stop in and say hello.
That can happen for sure.
All right. All right. How about anything under new business? Kevin? No.
No, I just, this remote thing's not working for me.
What's that?
The remote thing's not working for me. I miss you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Mary, she did a great job with your background.
Tough not seeing you and Judy side by side now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at least I didn't buy extra diplomas like Paul.
All right. Last item on the agenda is the report of the zoning enforcement officer. Jack, do you have anything to add?
No, I was mostly just going to bring up the signs. As you know, we've been making the switch from obviously Paul leaving, me moving into his office. Tammy and I have been rearranging a little bit. Other than that, I'm going to do my best to pick up where Paul left off. I know that we have some ongoing orders that are getting out and things to check up on. Paul made it very clear to me that it's fine if I try to contact him or, you know, pick his brain for where he left off on a couple things. So he's not cut off from the rest of the world. So he's made it very clear that he can be a resource for me. So that's great.
Okay.
But other than that, laying low, we locked town hall, I think Friday of last week. It's, you know, locked to the public now. So we're strictly phone calls and emails really. I'm still getting out and doing whatever inspections need to be done. But we're just not letting people in.
Okay. All right. So maybe for the next meeting, you can just maybe update us on, you know, the projects that are underway.
Yep, sure thing.
And sometimes we take those up under old business or whatever, but you know what's going on.
Sure do.
In town. So I'm sure you're going to do a very good job. You have some big shoes to fill. No question.
Thank you very much.
Paul is a very capable zoning enforcement officer. He knew the regulations very well.
Like the back of his hand, yeah.
Always,
did it for 40 years.
Always gave good advice, you know, to the commission. At least in, you know, my years on the commission. So I'm sure
I can do the same.
I'm sure you're going to do well in the job. All right. Well, that's it, I guess. That's it for our agenda. If everybody's ready to sign off.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
That's twice, Oz.
What's that?
That's twice.
Twice what?
Hey, Judy credit.
I thought I heard Judy. All right, we have 2 seconds. We have a second and a third on that one. All right. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. This was actually pretty good. I think this worked out well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all for being patient. I know it was kind of a learning curve there at first, but I really do appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you,
care, guys.
Thank you. And thank you, Josh and Chris and whoever's working on the other end as well.